Welcome back to the update. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm excited to talk some Red Wings hockey, and this is the person to talk Red Wings hockey with. Helene St. of the Detroit Free Press. Very excited to have you here. I've wanted to have you on the show for a long time, and now that there's been a lot of activity, what's your initial reaction to what we've seen from the Wings over these past few days since free agency started?
I think they've definitely gotten better. They've gotten younger in defense. They've gotten bigger. They've gotten more skilled. They picked up a guy with something to prove in Mike Commodore, who's 6'4". He'll clear guys out from around the crease. I think he's got a lot to prove to himself and to fans in Detroit. Ian White's a lot more skilled with the puck. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up playing in the top four next to Nicholas Lidstrom and Nicholas Kronwall. And I think they got them both for great prices. Let
me ask you specifically about a price tag that surprised people, surprised me, the one that is attached to Jonathan Ericsson. That's a lot of money, nearly $9 million that they've attached now to Jonathan Ericsson over the next few years. Why was it so high?
Well, because he's 27, because defensemen who are unrestricted always get a lot of money this time of year. I think ultimately they decided he's 6'4". He's coming off a really good season where he showed them a lot. They had to pay to get somebody, and he was their guy that they put money in. You put that in comparison to what Columbus gave James Wisniewski, 6 years, $33 million. That was a lot for a guy who hasn't done a whole lot yet in the NHL. Florida gave Ed Joanowski 4 years to a guy who's 35, which means the money can't ever come off their cap. Defensemen get a lot of money come July 1st when they're unrestricted and fairly young.
Give me your thoughts on fans needing to really put faith in Ken Holland, because what I've picked up from what he said is that I'm not going to get the guys who really grab your attention right away. You get an Ian White, you know, you get a Commodore, but he has some faith in his younger guys. And he likes, for instance, Brendan Smith, who put together a great campaign down in the AHL. Tell people what they need to know about Brendan Smith.
He's a very skilled guy. You know, there was a first-round pick from '07. They've liked him for a number of years. He probably could have played up this past season, but the Wings, you know, they like to leave their guys in the minors for quite a while, let them mature. They'd rather have a guy be the go-to guy in Grand Rapids, play 20 minutes a night and feel what it's like to be in that role rather than play 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes a night and maybe be out of the lineup a bit in Detroit. So the other thing I think we need to remember is they did sign a very high-profile guy right before free agency began, in Nicholas Lidstrom, who's better than anybody else on the market. So I think that gets overlooked because, you know, it was just like, oh, he's just coming back for another year. But, I mean, that was a huge signing and certainly a terrific deal at $6.2 million.
From here, it looks like all they really need to do is get themselves a backup goalie, because it's probably not going to be Ozzy. We all love Ozzy, but given his history last year with the injuries and his age, it's probably going to be time to turn that page. Where do you see them making that move before the season, and what direction might they go?
They're going to look for, you know, a cheaper veteran, somebody who has some playoff experience. I mean, it's unfortunate Chris Osgood fits the categories, every category they're looking for, but yeah, it's troubling because he hasn't played since January. He had quite a bit of, you know, significant surgery, especially for a goaltender. There's no way of knowing can he play in a game, so as much as everybody wants him back, and trust me, as a reporter, I know I'm going to laugh every time I talk to him because he's that personable. You know, quite a few guys have already been snapped up. They probably wouldn't have minded getting Thomas Wacoon for 1.5 if that had been possible for them to get. But they also, you know, they have 14 forwards. They have 70 under contract. They can certainly make some trades if they want, and they've got $7 million in salary cap space still.
We glanced over something related to Mike Commodore. We got about 30 seconds. How about the relationship between Commodore and Babcock? A little checkered. They had some history back there in 2002. How do you think that will sort itself out? You
know, it's funny. I talked to Mike Commodore, both of them, last night actually, and it was the first question I asked Mike Commodore. I said, "You got to know this question is coming up," and he said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Mike Babcock was the second person I called, and we straightened things out." And Babcock never responded to Commodore's comments that he made back in '09, and, you know, it was a fitness issue, which I don't, you know, none of them expect to be an issue anymore. So I think Mike Commodore just views this as a chance to rejuvenate his career more than anything else. But yeah, I think he probably learned something about be careful always what you say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Love talking Red Wings with you. I love seeing you in the locker room, so I look forward to doing it some more too.
Anytime.
That's Helene St. from the Detroit Free Press.